I get particularly fascinated with the psychological makeup of serial killers and people who are accused of crimes, and they're seeing what their mind is made like, or seeing how they think and seeing if I can see it in their chart. And one time I might look and it appears this way, and another time I might look and it appears differently to me. But I think I've looked up this one before. This is Jeffrey Dahmer. And, well, right away I see that the 8th house is full and the 11th house is full of planets. And the 11th house is society. And let me pick up my little strange little pen thing that they have. But Pluto is the planet ruling sexuality, and it rules the opposite side, that 8th house, with all those planets. And the other thing I like to think of is their inner makeup, which is down at the very bottom of the chart, the way their roots. And so it's in Capricorn. And so I don't know if he had a real strict father or bad relationship with his father. Capricorn rules of the father or older men. And how your structure of, if your home life was structured and rigid and methodical and maybe just depressing. But I mean, that imam quality that I see is the edge of the 4th house of home, which is this one, and his 4th house is an empty house, and it's ruled by Aquarius. So maybe an odd atmosphere or unusual atmosphere at home, or rebellion from his roots somehow. Now, to have Jupiter in Capricorn also, that's your mentors and your philosophy, your focus on religion, or how your higher mind. So it's restricted in Capricorn, or could make your makeup on philosophy real strict or rigid. And I'm looking at this, trying to see what caused him to be like he was. And so if it sounds like everything's negative, and it happens to be that this sign also is in your chart or something, don't take it personally. It's just how I'm doing the reading from the angle of knowing what he was like in retrospect. And so anyway, if your unconscious motivations are messed up, he has his unconscious motivations, Neptune, over here in the 1st house of self-image, on the left-hand side there in Scorpio. And so that's once again a sexual aspect, confusion on, or unconscious motivations toward sexuality, or and like I say, I'm doing it from knowing what his issue was of being a cannibal and having weird sexuality problems and so forth. I'm I'm focusing on what I can see that shows that. And so this is unconscious motivations towards sexuality. In his first, he saw himself as connected to the occult or to dark thinking about sexuality, maybe. Um, Now, the seventh house, which is on the right-hand side, this one is almost an empty house, but that's your house of enemies, besides being the house of marriage and partnerships. And his moon is right on his descendant, and so that affects that house. And so his emotions and so forth, he would have open enemies. He maybe felt he had open enemies, or his emotions were connected to feeling like partners and relationships were enemies. And then also he has Mars in Aries, and and the moon was ruled by Aries also. And that's your energy, your sexuality also. It's the traditional ruler. Aries is Mars is the traditional ruler of the house of sexuality that is now ruled by um, Pluto, which is Scorpio's house. So you combine the energy of sexuality when you see Mars where it is, and also male energy. So connected, male energy connected to his sexuality. His feelings toward males would be his daily tasks. It's in the house of his daily tasks. So and routines. So he had some feeling like he wanted to be connected to males in his work or in his daily tasks and his routines. And his emotions were connected to male energy, having Moon and Mars there. Now the other thing I didn't say down here on the fourth house, where I put the X on the fourth house down the bottom. When you have an empty house, it doesn't always mean this, but it could be that you're nurturing, your mother may have been estranged from you somehow, or far away, or unable to feel connected to her. And since it was ruled by Aquarius, it could be an odd relationship maybe, or she was maybe an unusual person, or just an unusual relationship with your mother. I don't know what his mother relationship was, so I really can't say to that. I can't point out that, oh yeah, that shows that, because I don't know how it was. It just looks like it might have been unusual or estranged or somehow rebellious. He rebelled against the home life. And then back up to the left again. I like to jump all over, just the way my mind works. Back up to the left again, where Pluto is the ruler. It is in the house of Virgo, which rules that house, where back down on the right, the rules, it is the normal ruler of the house that Mars is in, and the moon. So um, um, it's Virgo. It rules the sixth house of your daily tasks and routines. And so he was focused on his his daily routines were focused on a male energy. His energy was toward, and I don't know if he worked out. A lot of people that have energy, um, a lot of Aries energy might be focused on working out, or their body. uh, and their image of their body. And anyway, so uh, now his north node was in that, back up to the left again. It was in that house, and it is normally ruled by Aquarius. That's the house of rebellion and revolution and unusual happenings and and odd, explosive, strange, um, um, can be ingenious, but inventive. So his north node was there, so he was uh, when you when the north node is somewhere, you move toward that. So he was really focused on his daily tasks and routines, and his routines included everything that involved Pluto, because those are in the same house. So sexuality was part of his routine. He was focused on sexuality or other people's money, or um, the occult, dark thinking. His psychological makeup could have been really connected to uh, dark thinking. And then when we're talking about the mind, we go back over to what Pluto rules, which is that house on the opposite side, the eighth house, and Mercury, which rules the mind and your communications, is in that house of sexuality, and also ruled by Gemini. So he could have been pretty clever about his way of talking, um, and it would be how he obtained access to the people that he spoke to, using his cleverness and his mind to access sex, death, rebirth, transformation, psychology. Those are all the things that that house rules. So to get his sexual partners, maybe. And then the sun, his sun, is also ruled by, in that house, by Gemini. So they work together, and so his way of entertaining himself was possibly, that shows possibly that his way of entertaining himself was through sexuality, or through death, or through, that's what that house rules, death and sex. And so he had this focus there. He used his energy toward those things, and also his uh, Venus was there, so his values were in that same house. So everything that he valued in his daily, his way that the things that he obtained, his possessions, his luxury, his focus was all toward death, sex, and uh, the things that that house rules is psychologically focused on death and sexuality, and his values were involved in that. And he, having Venus in Taurus is a stubborn sign. It can be stubborn, and it also rules the voice. He can use his skills of communication and the voice to obtain what he wanted, or he could be focused on uh, communicating to obtain sex, and access to death, and access to being able to have the things that he wanted, to obtain his goals. Um, his values were wrapped up in sex and death, and obtaining other people's money. At the same time, he I don't see any, well, his, on the opposite side, his chart is ruled by Libra, and so he could have had some type of feeling that what he was doing was justice somehow, or he may have had an ambivalent feelings about what he was doing, but his emotions ruled because it was on his descendant, so it opposed his feelings of justice. And now his south node was in Pisces, and that's your unconscious motivation. So that would make him, and Pisces is a private sign. It's behind the scenes. So what he did, he kept private, but he moved away from spirituality, because that's where what you move away from. You moved away from um, uh, idealism, and went more for where what the North Node rules, which is his daily tasks. He was focused on his routines and daily tasks. Gemini rules the arms, and so back up there in the 8th house, use of his arms, and I don't know, he just was a weird energy, but his Mars rules the head, and that rules Aries, and so his focus was on males for his work, for his routines and daily tasks, for obtaining males for sexuality. He could not heal where Chiron is down here on the bottom on the right in Pisces. He could not heal his image of how he entertained himself. He was couldn't heal his ego. He couldn't heal how he expressed himself. He couldn't feel good about it, even though he was able to dazzle whoever he got in his clutches. He did not ever feel like he was quite enough. And then Uranus, I like to look at Uranus because it's the ruler of all things sudden and unexpected and explosive, and it's in a fire house of Leo up at the top. And so explosive energy for his outer image. And also Aries with Mars down there, those are fire. That's a fire sign also. Impulsive, explosive energy in fire. And let me see where Sagittarius. Did I say Sagittarius? Now Sagittarius is down here. It's the other fire sign. It's down in the 2nd house of daily, what you do, how you bring in your values. So, but it's an empty house, that 2nd house. Maybe he felt like he didn't have a lot of money. He used other people to get his what he could get out of them, maybe. But Hmm. Anyway, I guess, am I seeing anything else? Oh, Lilith up here at the right in Cancer, which all of the water signs are like this unconscious energy, and I mean under the surface energy. So dark taboo sexuality under the surface is Lilith, and um, uh, it's in a water sign. So I mean hidden motivation toward sexuality that is taboo. I guess that's all I see. You can see in the middle all the different aspects. He has that taboo energy opposite his philosophy, uh, Jupiter, which would be the philosophy and religion and so forth. But I won't go into any more on that. That's about what I see this time. I might look at it a different way the next time. Anyway, thanks for listening.